Well, my name is Louis Ray Harris. I'm a researcher, lecturer here at the University of the West Indies. I am in the Department of Physics, and I both lecture and carry out research in physics-related areas, primarily in those related to electronics and telecommunications. My work here has allowed me to interact with other researchers in disciplines that are outside of electronics, in other areas of physics that I'm no specialist in as well. Among them, those who work in the area of climate research. So I have been interacting at different levels with those researchers, and I've seen that there have been several ways that electronics, telecommunications that's one area that definitely needs to be considered in the whole discussion about climate, because of the potential for it to be impacted during extreme climate scenarios. So some of my research, both planned and some that have gone on before, has been linked to that area. Oh yes, I do. I definitely see the need to understand the potential impact of SRM on communications, especially satellite communications. One of the areas that I've looked at before and that I've actually studied at the graduate level is space communications engineering, and the whole understanding the factors that impact the communication between satellites and ground stations is something that is very important, because you have the tropical areas where certain allowances have to be made for the transmit power, for instance. How much power do we need to transmit our radio equipment or RF signals at for them to be guaranteed to reach satellites? And that would be different for temperate regions. So it is known, the RF radio frequency signals travel through the atmosphere to get to satellites, whether low Earth orbits or high Earth orbit satellites. And so if we're going to be applying SRM, then it means that we're going to be introducing some other particles in the stratosphere, which is the area through which our radio signals pass. There are different frequencies that are impacted differently by different particles, even for terrestrial communication, not thinking satellite communication. There are different conditions, like very cloudy or rainy conditions, where communications will be impacted more. There'll be greater loss, more drop calls, and so on. So trying to understand the degree to which SRM would impact propagation of radio frequency signals through the atmosphere is one area that has interested me, and that's more where I see a potential project that could be the focus, because we rely a lot on communications with other countries. Yes, there's some of it that is on submarine cables under the sea, but there's also a lot of satellite communication that brings us, cable TV, or lots of telephone calls. There's a strong reliance on satellite communication. So I think that if we're going to go the route of SRM, it's important to understand just how much or what frequencies would be impacted greatly, if at all. Well, the potential for SRM to impact different countries in such a wide variety of ways means that we do need to speak to each other. One thing that was mentioned earlier, on the questions is who decides what temperature we should set our planet at. But just looking at an arbitrary region, if we look at, say, Asia or the Caribbean, you may have one set of countries that needs more rainfall, the other that maybe because of its different topological the layout, there is more rain than is needed, and they don't need as much rainfall though. So who will get to decide what decision to make, how much modification should be made? I think that's a question that could, if we had the answer to that question, you know, it would be good, but it could lead to greater collaboration. It has the potential to do a greater good, as in encourage countries to speak to each other. It could also lead to the opposite, where countries, hopefully not, but go to war with each other, you know, because one country may be upset that the other country is benefiting while it is not. So there is a need for a lot of discussion before we even go down the route of implementing it at any level, because it's not possible to have a localized application of SRM. As was said earlier as well, it's a global approach. It impacts all countries. You cannot say it will impact just one set of countries and it will stop at this boundary, right? So I think it's important because it will definitely bring persons to the table to this talk. And once there is some dialogue, discourse going on, then anything is possible. I definitely think that in terms of the support that Jamaica needs, Jamaica and the region by extension, one, I think that there is a need for funding, yes, funding to carry out projects that will look at how things like SRM will impact our daily lives. But at a greater level, I think that the need to help to provide the training, help to build the capacity, and this refers to capacity by researchers, to develop a cadre of researchers that will be able to stay in the area over an extended period of time, beyond just doing a master's degree or a PhD degree. We want to be able to have that core set of researchers who will be able to say, okay, I know I'll guarantee say a 5-year or 10-year work because there's funding to carry out this type of research, and there's training. They know that what they're doing is on par with what is being done elsewhere. We do have relatively small research groups, as was brought out earlier as well in the meeting, and I think that having a greater pool on which we can call to address issues like this that come up from time to time will definitely build a better appreciation, help to develop a better appreciation of research and build the research culture in our region, which I think will all go well for the future.